Welcome back, you guys, to part two of our journey. Last time we showed you how we went from Fort Myers, Florida, all the way out to New Mexico and made it to the rest stop, and then the bus wouldn't start. But let's go back a little bit to a time when we were young and naive.
Well, second time driving into our property ever. First time since we drove out here.
At this point, everything else was still at the rest stop, and we were unaware that the bus would not start.
Goal is to assess the road for school bus worthiness. So far, no problem. So for the rest of today, we're gonna try to get the bus, the trailer, everything in here. Just park it right up there where I don't think anyone is really ever driving this road. So we should probably be fine.
So we made it in with the Sprinter and had a nice plan for everything else, but the bus had other plans. So we didn't discover the bus wasn't starting until after we had unloaded the Vanagon and put the hot tub back on the trailer. So we decided we were just going to hook up the trailer to the Sprinter and move these two things into the property as planned so that we would have some of it out of the way so the rest stop attendants could have a little more space for other cars. And meanwhile, we tried to think through all our options of what we were going to do if the bus wouldn't start for a day or two. The rest stop security was super, super nice, like I said before, and said, we could stay there as long as we needed. But we obviously didn't want that. That was not the plan. So we started trying to figure out what was wrong with the bus. So there was a lot of back and forth and uncertainty at this time. But half of our stuff was in our property, so this was a start.
Some of it's here. We unloaded the van, threw the hot tub on the trailer, and dragged it in here through the sagebrush. You want me to show you how tight this is? I don't know if you can tell all of the scratches on the trailer. Oh, actually you can tell. It takes out lights, apparently. That's not good. Yeah, easy fix. Not a problem. But look at the license plate. Oh, it's all bent to shit. So, we are on the edge of our property again today. And we just pulled in the Sprinter, the trailer, the hot tub, and the Vanagon. I'm a little beat, not gonna lie. I'm very concerned right now. Because we just came from picking up the trailer, and that was the plan, right? We're gonna pick up the trailer with the Sprinter, driving the Vanagon by itself, because the road's rough in here, and I didn't want to drive the bus in here with everything hooked up to it. The fucking bus didn't start just now, and we had this before, so we have starter fluid, which usually was no problem, started right up, and just now it did not. So it cranked over, it sputtered a little bit, quite a bit actually. It almost sounded like it started a couple times. And I was cranking in the front, Emmy was spraying the starter fluid in the airbox. And then it just didn't do it anymore. So I thought maybe the batteries, right? But luckily we have a second set of batteries. And that didn't help. So it almost sounds like... I'm really not actually sure what it sounds like. Maybe I grilled the starter, but we just rebuilt this, you guys know. I mean, it looked fine. The gears were fine. Starter looked fine. I just had to rebuild the brushes. Also, this is my last Yingling. They don't have Yingling out here. So, yeah, I really don't know. This is very, very concerning.
So we went back to where the bus was parked to troubleshoot.
So, to the non-starting issue, there's multiple issues actually, but the most acute issue is that the starter is toast, and you can see that by this missing, what would that be? The stator, the rotor, one of them. But you see all of these windings? One of them's gone. Who the fuck knows where it went? And that's of course going back together like this. Well, it's supposed to, right? And you see all of these 4 brushes, right? Which are, this is turning in that, and then it just chews up the brushes because, I mean, there's a gap in here. And yeah, that's not good. That's not good at all. I mean, look at those. I just replaced those too, the brushes, and this was not missing at the time. They are just fucking toast. None of that is good at all. Like, look at this. Jesus. Oh, and something else too. This one. That's what fell out earlier. This one just totally fried. So those brushes are shit. See this? The connection wire from this brush came totally off. Fuck. So I'm gonna blame that on the brushes. I don't know if I blame this on the brushes, but don't buy your brushes on eBay. Well, so now this means we need.
Buy your brushes on eBay.
Now this means we need a new starter if we can get one. I really don't even know if we can get one. We need to have to express order one, I think, because they need to get us out of here
Yeah, we're still here
at this rest stop.
at this rest stop.
So with the problem at least partially identified, we set to looking for a starter that would fit on this school bus, which is not so easy to do. The rest of this evening and part of the morning we spent calling around and looking online for starters. Finally, we found one in Albuquerque from a specialty starter shop, and that meant the next morning we were back on the road again down to Albuquerque, which is a little over 2 hours, to pick up our new replacement starter.
$350 later, 2.5 hour drive, we got a starter. Let's go back, put it in, and drive this fucking thing onto our property, would we?
Woohoo! Would we? Would we?
Should we?
Yes.
Okay.
But it still was not so simple. Sven replaced the starter and the bus still wouldn't start. So we went back to the drawing board and Sven started checking through all of our basics once again. And while doing this, he found that the oil was very, very low. And thinking about this further, this could be a very big reason why the engine wasn't starting, because this bus has a HEUI pump which is fed by oil in order to power the injectors. And luckily, engine oil is not as difficult to come by. We didn't have to drive all the way to Albuquerque again, but just into town to the auto parts store, and they had the type of oil we needed. We bought 2 gallons of oil to be safe, and we ended up putting almost all of it into the bus, so it really needed oil. And then, sure enough, finally that did the trick. So by that time, it was dark out, and we decided we were just gonna go for it and try to drive the bus into our property. And it all went really well. It wasn't nearly as heavy without the trailer, so we made it in just fine. And we parked again at the top of that hill right outside of our property because we did not yet have access onto our actual property. And if you thought it was over, we've got one more wrench to throw at you. The valve stem on the Sprinter at some point broke. So we had to carve out another wedge of time to drive the Sprinter into town and have the valve stem on that front passenger side tire replaced. But then finally, everything was there at our property. Yay! And next time, we'll show you guys how we started getting to work on our property and the work that we've done so far, clearing a little place so we could be on our actual site and start building our life. Thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.